North Korea appears to be on the verge of what is only the second transition of power since the state was formed after World War II. Welcome to Agenda. I'm joined this week by Rodger Baker. The word is that Kim Jong Il, the ailing leader of this Stalinist state, is preparing for a Workers' Revolutionary Congress at which his son will be hailed as his successor.
What we're looking at now is the groundwork for the leadership succession. The current leader of North Korea, Kim Jong Il, had a few decades, really, to prepare for taking over for his father. But Kim Jong Il has done a lot to make sure that none of his sons are clear successors. And that's to avoid certain groups of power being built around his sons and losing him some of his control of the country. After he had his stroke, this became a very serious problem because keeping the sons from having that active experience of leadership has also left them really unable to hold the country together if Kim were to suddenly die. And so we've seen this real acceleration in the plans, and this Workers' Party Congress appears to be one of the very high points in this preparation work.
Is he likely to appear? We've seen very little of young Kim.
Kim Jong Un, who's the youngest son of Kim Jong Il, may or may not appear. It's really unclear. For example, on the trip to China that Kim Jong Il recently took, no one's quite sure whether Jong Un accompanied his father. One of the reasons may be because no one's seen a photograph of the younger Kim, really since he was probably a teenager. So there's a likelihood that he may make an appearance. It may be under a pseudonym initially. It may not be as public as one would think. But certainly there are going to be pieces put in place that are going to give a little more security to the younger Kim when it comes time for him to take power.
Why is this going on at the Workers' Revolutionary Party Congress? After all, isn't North Korea a military dictatorship?
One of the things that we're seeing is that the Workers' Party is going to be taking a stronger role again. For quite a while, Kim Jong Il has really based his power out of the National Defense Commission. That has really overseen the military. And whereas Kim Il-sung had natural authority within the military and was able to work through things like the Workers' Party, Kim Jong-il did not really have authority within the military. And so what he had to do was to gain that support, give the military more authority, and then that meant that he also had to use that centralized leadership position under the National Defense Commission to be able to hold that power. Now, with his son coming in, he's trying to balance out that rising and stronger power of the military by reestablishing the Workers' Party as kind of a counterweight or a counterbalance to that. And so you're going to see some changes in the way in which North Korean policy is discussed internally and in the way in which things are played out. If the party becomes more important or more significant, the military may feel a little challenged in some cases, but the party may also have to take more responsibility for certain things, probably including economic policy.
I guess we should make it clear that this transition isn't going to take place immediately. It's just a plan at this stage.
Yeah, certainly. This is a leadership transition that the preparation, the groundwork is being laid. What Kim Jong-il is trying to do, though, is to create a live leadership transition. So around 2012, which is a year that they've set out as a very significant year, Kim Jong-un ideally would take the leadership role officially. Kim Jong-il would step to the background and in a Deng-like manner rule from behind the scenes, as Deng did in China, to make sure that there's a good balance until his son can really become strong on his own.
As you've suggested, any transition of power involves winners and losers. Is it possible to identify who they are?
The specific individuals who may lose or gain is not entirely clear. Obviously, we've seen Jang Song-taek, who's Kim Jong-il's brother-in-law, really over the past several years take a lot of stronger positions, and there's rumors that he'll probably take a strong seat not only in the National Defense Commission but also in the Workers' Party. But one of the things that this kind of rebalancing of power does is North Korea in many ways has been the most predictable of the unpredictable countries out there. It's been a country that tries to appear unpredictable, but in doing so does it in a very scripted manner, so you can sort of tell what they're going to do next. This is a point right now during this transition that script starts to fall apart. As some people gain power, other people are going to lose certain amounts of influence, certain amounts of control, and we're not really clear what those people are going to do and whether or not those people have influence or support from outside powers to maybe try to shake the system up a little bit.
China is one of North Korea's few allies. Where do the Chinese stand in all this?
Well, China has been really promoting some economic change in North Korea, some slight changes in politics, but not any fundamental change. One of the things that the Chinese are finding is that they were not necessarily the strongest supporters of Kim Jong Un. There was another son that seemed to be the one that the Chinese would have preferred to take power. The Chinese also have some relationships with some of the generals, and they're keeping a very close eye on this. Some people viewed Kim Jong Il's visit to China as in some ways asking permission or letting the Chinese know about the leadership transition. It could also be viewed as him telling the Chinese this is what he was going to do and telling them not to interfere.
What about the SixParty Talks on North Korea? Is there a chance now that they'll be restarted?
I think the SixParty Talks are really on the way back in. The Chinese have been pushing it, the North Koreans have been pushing it. The South Koreans can't seem to make up their mind whether or not they want to rejoin. The Americans appear to want to rejoin, but are trying to appease the South Koreans by saying, well, we may have to wait. The Japanese are probably the strongest opponent at this point in time, and that's because they have a lot of their own internal issues that they're dealing with. But in general, it really comes down to whether the Chinese and the United States come to an agreement and North Korea participates. North Korea looks like it's going to participate.
Rodger Baker, thank you. That's Agenda for this week. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.